Hey guys, so I wanted to make maybe one and only Diablo 4 video of this season and just share my opinion about Diablo 4, the changes and is it good now maybe? And also briefly talk about the build and maybe a bit couple build ideas what I have. Okay, to begin with, if previously you had opinion that Diablo 4 is just bad, just terrible because Blizzard, then I'm here to inform you that Diablo 4 is still a Blizzard game. So it's probably nothing is gonna change your opinion. But if you were like unsure, maybe it wasn't that interesting in last season. This season, I think it's a massive improvement. It's like 40% improvement, like actual 40%. The season itself is pretty simple but also interesting. The vampiric powers I think are very well implemented. I'm not sure about their balance. Some of them are like literally just straight up broken, but they are very interesting. We can enhance builds in various ways. Although some of them are almost mandatory, pretty much every class can have unstoppable, pretty much permanent, which is great because that's really needed. And farming those vampiric powers is pretty much just like doing a Helltide, it's just different color Helltide. And in general, all the changes feels like a big improvement. You get a lot more experience, you level up much faster. The gold is just not a problem. I don't even know how to spend gold anymore. Previously I was always lacking gold for something and now I just have 22 million gold and I don't know how to spend it now. There are some other changes like gems don't really drop. We drop gem fragment and then you can just scrap the gem so it doesn't fill inventory as much. Like overall balance changes also interesting. There are some like really broken builds like Blighting Sorcerer is just straight up broken, just so much damage. Other classes also have some OP builds. We also added new bosses which if you know Path of Exile, it's like you do certain boss to get fragments and then you combine those fragments and then you can do a bigger boss. It's sort of like that. So you can get like these materials, Trembling Hand, Gurgling Head, and stuff like that. And it's gonna require like 4 of certain of these to combine to summon one bigger boss. I tried to do it in World Tier 4. I managed to do it at level like 72 or 73. But it was kind of a long fight. So and there are other materials that you need to get from like the Helltide from certain other bosses, and then that boss that I said that you kill by combining 4 pieces. It also drops like a Mucus Slick Egg, which is also required for a different high tier boss. I believe this one is for Duriel. I'm not too sure. So there are more bosses that you can chase, and some of them do drop higher tier loot. For example, in World Tier 4, if you do World Boss, you're gonna get items with 925 item power, which is the highest you can get, I believe. Actually, that's how I got my weapon and the shield. As soon as I pretty much reached World Tier 4, I did World Boss, got those weapons, and now it feels like my build is just insanely good. But I think there are more build flexibilities, build possibilities because of vampiric powers. So I want to talk maybe first about vampiric powers. So these essentially require the pacts, and you get pacts on your gear. And in the final result to equip 5 vampiric powers, you're gonna have to have precisely the right amount and the right type of the pact on your gears. You can cleanse it and just add it straight up and just farm these in the blood harvest. You essentially just farm and do quests. You also get Grim Favor of 3 of Whisper. So you just farm these. You get these vampiric powers, you just reroll them, you get random ones and you kind of need to level up almost like glyphs. And then you can have up to 5 of these. And these can be really strong. For example, Unstoppable. When you use Evade, which is like your spacebar ability, if you level this up to level 3, it's gonna have a 4-second Unstoppable. And Evade has like a 5-second cooldown. So you pretty much have permanent Unstoppable. Then this one, for example, is also really good. Whenever you cast any skill, it's gonna do like small beams to all the enemies on the screen and does damage based on your maximum health. So this can actually be really good if you're scaling maximum health. You just use a single target ability and you're just gonna beam to all the enemies and you just one-shot them. Not the strongest enemies but just the weakest enemies, but that can help. For example, maybe Thorn's Barbarian doesn't have very good clear, or maybe if you focus on Frenzy Barbarian, for example, that's another build idea that I kinda wanted to do. So there are some really interesting vampiric powers and they are very easy to kind of integrate into your build. You don't need to sacrifice, like last season you had to put malignant hearts or gems inside your jewelry and that just wasn't good. I hated last season. Last season I pretty much rage quit and just uninstalled the game. This season I still wanna play it more. The changes to resistances also, it's hard to tell, but for now I think it's good. Resistances are basically the same as in Path of Exile or in Diablo 2. If you get plus 20 res, you get plus 20 res. And capping resistances is pretty important. This is level 73 sorc. I just recently started doing World Tier 4. Already have most of my resistances capped at levels at 70%. You can fix your resistances by using jewels, by using gems inside your jewelry. And then I think the main parts where you get resistances other than jewelry is the armor and pants. At least on those parts I try to get tank and stuff. And on other parts, damage or plus levels to skills. Using a horse feels a lot better, a lot smoother, and it's also a lot faster. There are a lot of quality of life improvements. There are stashes, like actual stash, your stash all around the town, so you don't just need to go to one place to get to your stash. There are multiple places in bigger towns, especially. There are multiple places where you can access your stash, so it's also a lot more convenient. The renown transfer pretty much, if you previously had all your skill points and paragon points, you will have it again, but you're still gonna have to do like get waypoints, get strongholds to unlock certain dungeons. Yeah, like overall it feels better, but in the end I still wouldn't call this good. There are still many things that are just straight up annoying. Doing nightmare dungeons, I like doing nightmare dungeons, but all the modifiers are just... Every nightmare dungeon has one, like, dumb modifier. Like the floating glyph that chases you and creates the bubble, and you need to go into that bubble. That one is just straight up annoying. The other one that the floating rock chases you and then creates like an AoE explosion. Like I don't understand why do we have to have like a forced torture. That is just straight up torture. You cannot really like mitigate it or play around it. You just are forced to suffer. So there are still things that I don't like, and I don't think that it's a game which you're gonna play for a very long time. Not like Path of Exile, at least for me. But yeah, there are still many more builds that I want to do. And I'm gonna talk about this build a bit. I don't have a planned version to share, so you're gonna have to watch this video, and if you like this build, just see what I'm doing and copy it. So I started with Incinerate. Incinerate felt okay-ish with Hydras, but in my opinion Hydras still are not that great. They are at this point feeling kind of okay, but that's probably because of my weapons that are 9 to 5 item power, and I'm level 73, so it's like my endgame weapons. But I'm using 2 Hydras. I'm using Lightning Spear mainly to stun and to proc crit. I'm also using Flame Shield for defense to heal myself and to put a barrier. Ice Blaze just to add vulnerable. Arc Lash is like amazing. It also gives me movement speed when I use it. And Fireball, I don't really use it. It is just for the enchantment. The enchantment is enemies when they explode, we do 50% of the Fireball's damage. So you want to level up Fireball to do more damage. And every enemy that dies explodes. And that can be so satisfying in the map. Like just chain explodes. And the second one is experimenting with Meteor enchantment. It is like 8% on lucky hit to proc a Meteor. And Meteor can do a lot of damage. It also creates burning ground, which can enable burning modifier. If enemies are burning, you do like increased damage. And for items, I am stacking attack speed mainly for this. I did some testing to see how attack speed affects Hydra and other Conjuration skills, and I'm like 95% sure that attack speed does work with Conjuration skills. It's so hard to tell because all the attack speed that I gain is like conditional. I gain 60% attack speed. Whenever I crit a boss, I get 60% attack speed for 3 seconds. For 3 seconds, I get 60%. I want to get this to 75 or even higher actually, but I think attack speed caps at 125% bonus. Whenever I had all my attack speed modifiers up, it seemed like it's getting like random numbers, and then suddenly boom, 125.0 exact. So I have a feeling that it's capping at 125% attack speed bonus, although I cannot be sure. I tried to compare side by side with the attack speed and without attack speed. How does Hydra look like and Lightning Spear, and like it's really hard to tell sometimes, but like I said, 95% sure that attack speed does scale Hydra's attack speed and also even Lightning Spear's movement speed. So it just flies faster and I guess eventually hits more enemies. Same goes for Ice Blades. They do appear to be like moving faster and attacking faster. But Ice Blades I use the least because I tried to build Ice Blades and they just do not clear, we do not do enough damage, we do not last long enough, we just do not feel great. But I suspect it could be possible to play Ice Blades with the enchant with the modifier to kind of reset its cooldowns, just passively create more with the enchantment. For every 33 seconds with the Paragon board, for every 33 seconds in cooldowns you spend, you spawn an Ice Blade on random enemy, just one. And I suspect that could be done also, like you could create many of Ice Blades against single target. That could also be interesting. So basically stacking attack speed. In order to proc this, I just need to crit a boss. And I get that. There's also attack speed when you use a core skill, when you crit with a core skill. I tried using chain lighting because it has like an inbuilt crit ramp up. Didn't feel that great, but also once you start using lighting skills, it's very easy to unconsciously become a lighting build because you just want to add unstable currents, you want to add like the passive unstable currents proc, and you just very easily can become a lighting build, and I did not want to do that. I wanted to keep it fire. Then there is Vampiric power that also grants on a lucky hit up to 20% chance to increase your attack speed by 30% of your total movement speed. This is level 2, at level 1 it was 20%, so it's currently giving me 30% bonus on lucky hit. So I also need to raise lucky, I also need to raise crit, and I need to raise attack speed. There's also this one which straight up gives 52% at level 3 more damage to crowd controlled enemies for my Hydra, Lightning Spear, Ice Blades, and other minions. And then also this one, hitting an enemy with basic skills grants 4% attack speed for 10 seconds. This stacks 5 times, so I get up to 20% attack speed after attacking 5 times with the Arc Lash. And once it reaches 5 stacks, it also gives me 120 basic skill damage and movement speed. So I am also getting quite a lot of movement speed stuff. And my legendary powers, I'm still experimenting. This is not like a finalized, but the basic skill gain attack speed, that is not gonna affect the Hydra because this is only for the basic skill. But I still like attacking faster because with Arc Lash I can stun enemies like more often when I attack faster. I also gain movement speed when I use Arc Lash up to 18%. Also important things, one additional Hydra. The duration I think doesn't really matter because I just keep spamming it anyway. Like I said, I still need to replace this one to get a better roll. Whenever I get Asus Ferocity key passive, my attack speed is increased by 60%. I want it to be 75 unless the cap is really 125%. In that case I may not need more. I also have the stacking armor legendary power, also do have less damage from crowd control enemy or vulnerable. I may actually replace that because damage reduction you take is I think multiplicative with each other. So if one source is 20%, the other source is 20%, you're not gonna have 40% damage reduction, you're gonna have 20 and then another 20% after reducing it previously by 20%. So at some point it's not really worth stacking that many like damage reduction sources. You do want to cap resistances anyway and get armor. This I also need to replace, but this is another thing that is also kind of important for conjuration skills, but like I said, conjuration skills don't appear to be doing that great damage. On a lucky hit, conjuration skill basically gives itself and all the other conjuration skills plus 1 rank and stacks up to 3. So you can get up to plus 3 levels to conjuration skills. And that's actually very good uptime because sadly the Hydra itself doesn't have very high lucky. But I also, like I said, have Lightning Spear which has a bit higher lucky chance, and I also have Ice Blades which also have even a higher lucky chance. So with all those 3 conjuration skills, I kind of have good uptime on plus 3 to conjuration skill levels. And this one lasts for 12 seconds, so in 12 seconds you need to hit 3 lucky hits with conjuration. Also have a massive barrier. I have this one, critical strikes grant 16% movement speed for 1 second up to 6 seconds. That's why I also want to build crits, and it also synergizes well with the Arc Lash because when you hit and when you crit, you're gonna get like double dip on the movement speed. And the build did not feel great until I added enough movement speed. Once I added enough movement speed, it just felt like a completely different game. Now, like I pretty much just released Lightning Spear, drop Hydra, the Vampiric powers also broke, kill a bunch of enemies with chain explode, and I can just move to other enemy pack and repeat the same, and sometimes I don't even need to stop to clear out enemies. Now the Paragon board, pretty much from the first Paragon board, just get everything. Just get everything. I'm pretty much just using this glyph, Elementalist glyph. The non-physical damage modifiers are very important for conjuration skills, because the second board I have is Elemental Summoner. Your conjuration skills have 10% reduced cooldown, that's whatever, unless you're using Lightning Spear or Ice Blades. They also deal bonus damage equal to 3% of the total amount of your bonus damage with fire, lightning and cold. Currently it's 13%, so it gives me 13% more damage. So whenever you take non-physical damage, it gives 5% to fire, 5% to cold, and 5% to lightning. Essentially it's like 15%, so 3% of those 15% is gonna be used for boosting Conjuration skill by more multiplier, because this is just increased damage. Like this 5% non-physical damage will only increase your Conjuration skill by 5% because it's only fire. But with this one, you also get a more multiplier for your Conjuration skills. But sadly, like I said, the Conjuration skills still do not feel that great right now. And then getting attack speed, getting resistances, getting more resistances and damage. Next board is the one that gives Enchantment Master. I'm not sure if this is good, but this board also has a lot of good things like resistances, reduced damage over time, and then a lot more life and non-physical damage, which is also boosting Conjuration skills by more multiplier. Going for the elite damage here. Probably gonna be going for this one as well. Not gonna be going for that, getting another glyph socket, and then probably traveling to get more boards. That's pretty much the gist of this build. On the helmet you can actually get +4 Hydra, maybe you can even get +5, I'm not too sure. I'm getting +4 Hydra. Another good thing is to get Fireball helps with the clear speed, because every enemy that dies explodes using like 50% of your Fireball damage. So the higher Fireball damage is, the more damage explosion is gonna do. It's like Hell of Ice in Path of Exile essentially. The gloves are gonna be hard to replace because gloves can roll attack speed, crit chance, I believe lucky, but they can also roll plus levels to all sorts of skills. The amulet can also be difficult to replace. I went for the Conjuration skill levels, and then Glass Cannon just straight up gives more multiplier. The rings mostly just a bit of damage or resistances or some mitigation. And if possible crit chance, crit damage. Body armor and pants are mostly for defenses and resistances, if possible get some damage. Boots try to get some movement speed, really need movement speed. Yeah, that pretty much covers this build. And I'm gonna keep playing this. This is level 73. This is much faster to level. Like you can get extra 20% experience from this seasonal blessing, which is like free. You just need to progress this thing enough. You can also increase the duration of your elixirs, which also give experience. By the way, this seasonal journey is shared between your characters, but vampiric powers sadly are not shared between your characters. So each new character is gonna have to level up vampiric powers. So yeah, I'm probably not gonna be making another video about Diablo 2, because streaming Diablo 2, like, I do like playing it, but my viewership numbers are so much lower than playing Path of Exile. So what am I streaming it for if not for my viewers? And if most of my viewers don't really want to watch or even lurk in my stream, then may as well just stream Path of Exile. I will most likely still play Diablo 4 off stream and do some other builds, and if I discover something cool that works really well, I'm gonna make another video, but most likely no more Diablo 4 videos until next season probably. So yeah, that's it for now. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.